Good morning, Glennis.
Good morning.
What a week.
Yeah.
I have been super overwhelmed by the news. I don't know how you've been feeling, but since the murder of Alex Pretti, I've just been really in it.
Yeah, same. I came in like a tornado this morning. I'm feeling very overwhelmed. There's so much. And I think being that so much of my work is online, a phone is an extension of my body. And I got a text at 10 a.m. Eastern time before any news had broke on anything. Someone shot again in Minnesota. And I think things have changed.
Yeah, it certainly feels like we have crossed the Rubicon, hit a tipping point, reached a boiling point. There's been a vibe shift for sure. And we have to get into what that means and how we can get things back on track, if at all possible.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. By the time you're hearing this, people are well aware of the facts, and I don't think we need to
overly
go
adjudicate.
deep, on what actually happened. People know. A lot of Republicans have come out with more aggressive statements against what the current immigration enforcement agenda looks like for the president. I think where we go from here is a bigger question, and it's a very live situation that's been shifting just in the last 24 hours. Opportunity for us to fight back.
Yeah, I do want to name, though, that I think it was, one, extremely traumatic for many people, with or without consent, to see the murder in cold blood of Alex Pretti on the streets of Minneapolis. I also think it's important to note that we should all be very grateful to the brave people who pull out their phones and record, because we had such direct evidence of the facts of what happened. I think it's also important to note that the government is lying to us. Like, we cannot let that go, and we should not let that go, that the federal government cannot be trusted. And that I think because people, brave people, recorded what was happening, which is well within their constitutional rights to record, we have clear evidence that the government continues to lie to us. And the more people who saw that footage, I think it had them cross over the Rubicon of like, whoa, you're lying. I see what happened. He was on the ground and was shot in the back multiple times. So this is something I just don't want to let go, because it is, I think, what has persuaded many people that what the federal government is doing is not right. And they see that it could happen to them.
Yeah.
Because it is, we're so used to it because we're in the work every single day. We know that they're full of shit. We know that Donald Trump is just trying to hold tight on his wealth and scale it, and then also work on his legacy, and kind of is, in my opinion, slightly checked out. And it's, the Stephen Millers, the Russ Votes, the people in the administration who are true zealots that are kind of steering the ship. And this weekend was a real turning point.
Yeah, I think that this contrast between what the administration was trying to say happened and the dozen or so angles of video that we had instantly of the incident, of the murder, is what for so many people like crossed a line. That the murder itself was so egregious that there was absolutely no justification for shooting someone who's literally on all fours on the street,
unarmed,
in the back of the head, and then emptying a clip after that into him. And then secondly, that the cover up was just so brazen in the light of day instantly that it, for a lot of people, I think, just crossed a line that it was indefensible. They could say what they want about Renee Good and trying to make it seem like she was attempting to hit someone with her car or whatever. There was just zero spin possible, right? Like, Stephen Miller comes out, calls him an assassin. Kristi Noem comes out, says that he was looking to do mass murder against federal agents. And it's like, dude, we all have Instagram.
Yeah,
it was
eyes.
Every single clip of my newsfeed for 2 days. Every single thing on my newsfeed was a different take or video of that murder. It just really goes to show, to your point, how important it is for us to be like documenting this in real time And I do like want us to get into what we can do as activists and Democrats to fight back and what the next steps look like. But yeah, we have to acknowledge the absolute horror of the moment that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think persuaded a lot of people was the blatant hypocrisy, especially as it comes to Second Amendment rights. Anyone who saw the clip saw that Alex Pretti was carrying, but that he was disarmed by one of the officers prior to the murder, which is his legal Second Amendment right in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And when you look back at January 6th, you look at Kyle Rittenhouse, you look at those two
the McCluskeys or something.
McCluskeys.
What was their name?
You're right. It was McCluskeys who came out branding semi-automatic firearms,
pointing them at people.
Literally that. Kyle Rittenhouse at 17 shooting 3 people at a protest in Wisconsin, who Kyle was then embraced by Turning Point USA, has become a right-wing talking head. The McCluskeys were platformed at the RNC. January 6th, we know what happened with all of those domestic terrorists. Right. They were pardoned writ large. So the hypocrisy for many, I think, middle-of-the-road Americans or gun-wielding Americans was so blatant that, again, this is why I feel like this moment in American history is a turning point.
Yeah. So let's talk about what comes next. This happens right as the Senate is debating a appropriations bill that includes funding for DHS.
We talked about this last week, and I said, should we shut it down? And you said no.
I have been consistent the entire time that withholding additional funding from DHS will not result in any meaningful change to the operations of ICE, because ICE already received 4 or 5 times their annual budget from the ugly bill last year. So there's a huge cacophony of people online and in my fucking DMs saying defund ICE or nothing. Anything short of that is a complete capitulation and failure from Democrats.
Right.
My point is that might feel good for you and you might have the moral high ground. What does it accomplish? What changes for immigrants? What changes for people on the street? What changes for our Fourth Amendment rights as a result of refusing to pass any DHS bill? Nothing. They will be materially unaffected by that withholding of funds because they already have the money that they need.
Right. What you're arguing for is pragmatism from folks.
The alternative is use their greed against them. They want more money. They want more money. So let's attach a ton of shit that they don't want to the bill and pass it into law. That can include a long list of things. I have one written down. I'll start reading them.
Yeah,
but like
please.
Removing Kristi Noem from DHS.
Get her out.
It can include a ban on face masks. It can include a new statutory restriction on entering people's homes without warrants, on the proper procedures for removals and like requiring warrants be signed by judges in all cases. Let's talk about limits on when and where ICE can even demand documentation from citizens or others. Let's talk about requirements for names and badge numbers to be displayed by officers at all times. Let's talk about an independent prosecutor assigned to investigate ICE abuses, including the murders of Renee Good and Alex Pretti. Let's talk about releasing all records related to Renee Good and Alex Pretti's killing.
Yeah, like who? We don't even know the name of the shooter.
We don't even know the name of the shooter. Let's find that out. Let's talk about restitution for the citizens injured or permanently maimed by ICE.
Well, a point I want to make is in the year 2025, 32 people died in ICE detention centers. And in 2026 so far, there's been 6 in ICE detention centers and 8 if you include the murder of Renee Good and Alex Pretti.
Let's talk about access to detention centers that has currently been revoked from members of Congress. They can't even visit there without a week notice. Like
I want to really talk about that. That is absolutely diabolical. That one, our elected officials who are paid to work for us, who represent us, are not allowed into federal ICE detention centers that we, the taxpayers, are paying for.
Insane. But that's what I'm saying is like, let's force their hand on some of these things. No, I don't want to give ICE any more money. I want to reduce the amount of money that they have. There's no path to do that. Anyone who's telling you, oh, we can just defund ICE through this process, we can mandate a rescission, a take back of the money that already went out. Trump has to sign that bill. If you've been awake for more than 20 minutes, you know that that's not happening. Well, that's not happening.
But I do want to say there has been direct results of the intense pressure campaign from Democrat and Republican citizens alike about the complete unprofessionalism and murderous streak that ICE has been on, right? We've seen that Bovina, whatever his name is, the one who's cosplaying as a literal Nazi.
Yep.
Like, that is what he's doing. He is now shipped out of Minnesota and fired. And I've heard he's potentially retiring very soon.
Good.
There could be real pressure on Kristi Noem to be fired potentially. Or what do you think about being impeached? Is that possible?
Absolutely. 3/4 of House Democrats have now signed on to impeach Noem. So, like, for sure, there are a lot of things that can be done. The question, to your point, is we have all this momentum. The country is on our side. People are outraged at what's happening.
The country is on the country's side. Removing the party lines from it. Everyone knows I do everything I can to get as many Democrats elected as humanly possible. That is my job. But I think people at this point are realizing our country, America, is slipping away from the citizens because of these greedy men and women who are trying to leech the country for their own net worth and power.
Do you think that will last?
If we have the strategic, this is when my work comes into play, the strategic narrative and organizing around it.
I don't know if I agree. I think that this is a window in time that we have to take advantage of, where there is a bipartisan, loud coalition of people opposed to the president's agenda. And we happen, by the good fortune of luck, to have a bill in front of us that Republicans need. And so we have this very unique opportunity to codify into law changes because these two things aligned. Had we not had the government shutdown, all of this would have been passed already and locked in as of last fall. So we happen to be lucky that we have this bill right now that we can force changes through. Think about the George Floyd protests of 2020. The country was unanimous. It was overwhelming, the amount of support for police reform and for a change in like race relations more broadly in this country. Where did that go? Right? Nothing got codified. We missed the chance to make meaningful changes to the law. And then public opinion changed. And now defund the police is like one of the most toxic things you can say in politics at large. So, like, I'm under no delusion that now ICE is going to be forever a taboo thing that everyone hates in the country. I don't think that we should be that naive. We have to take advantage of the moment that we're in, of having the broad base of support that we do, and force as much down their throats as we possibly can to put meaningful restrictions on it.
Fair.
My new plan that I'm pitching is ban, document, prosecute. Ban the masks. The masks are the key to everything. While these agents are anonymous, there is zero accountability. We've talked about this. It completely breaks down the social order to have masked men running around who nobody knows who they are and they can do whatever they want.
I would also add that they're in layman's clothes.
100%.
Put them in a uniform.
Right. I mean, I can go put on a mask and like a jacket and go fucking start beating people up, and people would literally think that it was ICE. Number 2, we've sprung up this insane infrastructure in cities all over the country, LA, Chicago, Minneapolis, New York, to document what ICE is doing, because...
You mean citizens?
Citizens. That's correct. Grassroots groups, legal observers. There's tons of infrastructure moving into documenting who these people are. It has limited utility when they all look like stormtroopers, right? Like 3 years from now, when it's like, oh, hey, let's prosecute that guy who shot that person, that guy who pushed someone in front of a car, the person who was driving who ran over a protester. Like, if we do not know who it is, it's going to be really hard, because I fully believe they're going to destroy literally all records from this era. There's going to be zero actual record keeping.
You know, you have to, again, instill these moments of bravery in citizens. The government whistleblower who leaked the list of people signing up for ICE, these citizens who are recording. I just want to make that note that it does require individual acts of bravery in this moment.
But I think that our efficacy will be limited as long as we allow the outrageous practice of masked agents. Ban the masks.
Yeah.
Continue to document with their faces all of the abuses.
Yeah.
And then prosecute. There's a new group out this week of local prosecutors who are committed to coordinating their efforts to bring cases against ICE and local agents, like individual agents.
Yeah.
You can do criminal cases, they can do civil cases.
Great.
This is going to go on for years, and some of the cases won't be able to be brought until Trump is out of office,
For sure.
right? Like some of this is going to end up being federal, but if they don't have masks and we have the documentation that we do,
Yeah, we got facial ID everywhere, baby.
we can prosecute them in 2029.
Yeah.
But like, we have to get rid of the masks. So everyone's saying in my fucking comments that it's meaningless unless we defund ICE. To me, that feels like you're looking for a feeling of righteousness for winning a political debate with zero concern for what the lived experience of immigrants and protesters is. Because there are actually meaningful things that we can do in the next couple of years. Defunding ICE is not one of them. Sorry.
Sure. Fair. And I think it's a yes. And I think if people are motivated by defunding ICE, it's like, sure, what are all the steps that have to happen before we can even have that conversation and have that power from a legislative perspective? So I hear you. The comment warriors are always going to be there and they're going to be very loud.
Driving me nuts.
Yes. But I do think that if that is your rallying cry, yes, we agree. But here are the things that we can pragmatically do in the interim, given our being democratic legislative power. And to your point, this moment in time where we can organize and rally many, many, many individuals to actually influence change. So, yeah.
So we're going to be watching the DHS funding fight very closely. They're supposed to vote on it Thursday. So by the time you hear this, it'll be imminent.
But keep calling. As someone who has always called their elected officials, because I used to work in the Senate, and I do know that it helps because I would answer the phone and hear what people had to say. And I would tell my boss. He would ask me, what are people calling about today? Keep doing it. I'm seeing also online so many creators, influencers with very, very large platforms modeling that behavior. And that is really encouraging to me. Calling your elected officials, whether it be in their federal office in DC or in state offices, is extremely, extremely impactful. Emily on your phone had a really good script. If you don't follow her, you should.
I reposted it.
Brian reposted it. We can put it on the Vibes handle as well. Keep it up.
Yeah, I think that the things people can be doing right now, number one, calling your senators, regardless of whether they are Republicans or Democrats, and pressuring them to amend the DHS funding. We can get more into the weeds of like, they actually need to pull it out and vote on it separately, and they need to renegotiate it. It has to go back to the House, and then the House has to pass it as well. So there's like a lot of logistics there, but the important part is that you're calling and saying, do not support DHS funding as is, that we want a ban on masks. We want all of these other things. There's a long list. The second thing is to support this local group of prosecutors. I'm saying local, but it's really a national group of local prosecutors that are going to be the ones bringing these cases. Trump cannot pardon state charges. So if you're bringing charges against people under state law, Trump cannot pardon them.
Yeah, we're seeing that in Minnesota.
Right. And in Colorado, right, where Trump's trying to force the state to release that woman who had like tampered with voting machines on his behalf to try to prove like voting fraud that didn't exist. And so, yeah, it shows the limitations of his power. And so I think that that's another area where we can like be leaning in and supporting people.
Can I give you a petty one? I'm on a new petty mission.
Tell me.
To call out the evil white gay men.
Oh, the gay supervillains of the administration? Scott Bessent. Who?
Well, okay, this is not just administration. It's also the capitalistic powers that be, i.e. Tim Cook. The night of this murder, Donald Trump had a screening for the Amazon movie that no one asked for, that yet Donald Trump sold for, I want to get this right.
40 million.
You're right. That Donald Trump sold for $40 million. And then Amazon gave the budget a $35 million marketing budget, a screening of Melania, because we were all dying to know what she was doing for the 90 days before the election.
Is that what it's about?
Yeah. Tim Cook, who by the by, Amazon is a competing streamer. Like, Tim Cook,
Right.
you have Apple TV. Why are you supporting? We know why, right? He loves dear leader Donald. Is sat ass in seat watching this documentary when Americans are out on the street fighting for their basic human rights.
Yeah.
Tim Cook, you're a loser.
I know.
Scott Bessent, you're a loser. Did you see the clip about he was trying to defend the ICE agents or the Border Patrol agents who had attacked and killed Alex Pretti, and he said, "I've have you ever been to any protests? Have you seen this clip? Oh my God, it's insane. He's so out of touch with those veneered chompers that he has, and he's talking about he's like, have you ever been to a protest? He's asking a reporter.
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest? I mean, have you gone to a protest? I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it.
Okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
Oh my God.
A billboard, bro? And did you see the news this morning?
I mean, yes, but what do you mean?
Did you see the news?
I always see the news. Which news?
I want to zoom out even further here on all of this, which is the fear mongering and the lying and like the origin story of the escalation in Minnesota, which is the Nick Shirley YouTube video, the very real fraud case that involved some Somali immigrants that the right and the administration took as this anti-immigrant dog whistle and blew it out of proportion. If there was real fraud, Keith Ellison, the AG, made this point. If there was real fraud and they needed to do an audit, why wasn't the federal government sending accountants,
right,
as opposed to ICE and Border Patrol agents?
Totally.
The administration, they're currently in Maine also, I don't know if you've been following this news, is choosing these progressive, liberal, democratic states to make a point out of. It's very, very disturbing to see. In this immigrant dog whistle, everyone in the administration on the right is talking about immigrants are going to take your jobs. They're taking your jobs. I got a news alert this morning. Amazon, they're firing 15,000 people. Why? AI.
Right.
AI is going to do it. What about AI taking your jobs? No one seems to be talking about that. Sam Altman.
Right.
Because AI will take your jobs.
Yeah. I mean, the backdrop of the violence that Trump has perpetrated on American streets is an economic collapse. In many ways, to your point, layoffs are ticking up. New numbers came out showing that the consumer confidence index, basically like how people feel about their ability to navigate the economy right now, plunged to its lowest level in 12 years, meaning worse than it was when unemployment was 15% during the pandemic.
Ooh.
It is worse now than it was then. And we continue to see tariffs wreaking havoc on prices for everything. People can't afford homes. People can't afford healthcare premiums that are doubling, tripling. There are so many crises to actually mandate the involvement of the federal government and the attention of the president that it is unbelievable that he's creating new ones that no one asked for.
I think it's completely believable. 1, where are the Epstein files?
Right.
2, where are the Epstein files? 3, where are the Epstein files?
Right. I know.
It's orchestrated.
It's like a month that they were supposed to be released by the end of the year, right? Or like January 2nd or something. It's crazy. And amidst all of the drops in consumer confidence and the increases in prices, we also have the Fed meeting again this week to decide if they're going to reduce interest rates.
Jerome
Powell,
Jerome,
our guy. And with Trump basically trying to blow up the Fed entirely via his current Supreme Court case, via the criminal investigation into Powell that's politically motivated, there's going to be a lot of attention paid to what they decide, and it's going to impact whether any of us can ever buy a house. Like it all compounds, right? To like point to this overall picture of Trump being laser focused on his bank account, his friends' bank accounts, and really not giving a shit about how it's impacting everybody else.
Trump apparently said last night that he supports the United States dollar collapsing.
Oh yeah, that's his big. He's always been very pro.
As someone who, both of us have spent time in Argentina during their highest inflation period in history. What?
I know.
It was like $20 for a steak meal and a bottle of red wine. I don't eat meat, but everyone else did. Okay, Brian, should we do a little clickbait double click?
Yes, I have a couple.
Okay.
Ilhan Omar was attacked at a town hall and sprayed with some unknown liquid by a crazy guy.
I saw that. Double click because Trump claims, which I'm sure is in stark disagreement with Stephen Miller, that we should be working towards de-escalation in Minnesota. And a crazed white male running towards the congresswoman and spraying her is not a de-escalation. We don't have any word yet on what he sprayed, but that could have been horrific, much worse.
Yeah. It's crazy to contrast Joe Biden's response when Lee Zeldin, or a Republican, was attacked a couple years ago when he was president, and what Trump said. It's wild. It just shows you what a garbage human Trump is. A judge found Virginia Democrats' redistricting resolution illegal yesterday.
You tell me.
It is a double click. We really need to pick up seats in Virginia because Republicans are preparing to gerrymander the shit out of Florida. And so the same way that we responded to Texas with California, we need to respond to Florida with Virginia. And I think that this is going to get appealed and overturned because they're doing it in a perfectly legal way, but something to track for sure.
Something to track, okay. Zuckerberg puts ICE info on ICE. Instagram, Facebook, and Threads block links about agents as backlash grows over Alex Pretti killing.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think that that's a double click. There's a lot of censorship going on. So between that on Meta and then a lot of creators saying that their entire FYP is being censored essentially is really concerning as well, because TikTok just changed ownership.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about that, but now it's in Larry Ellison's hands.
Right. I have another one.
I don't have the headline, but can we talk about this? Because I posted it. Did you see the headline about Ted Cruz?
Yeah.
So this was a Axios headline from last week where Ted Cruz apparently, this is from a source that said that in closed door meetings, Ted Cruz has been belaboring the point to Donald Trump and Stephen Miller that he has to calm down and that the Republicans will lose dramatically in the midterms and he will spend the last 2 years of his presidency being impeached every single day.
I think that you're underselling it. It was a leaked audio of one of his meetings with big donors, and he literally shredded Trump and Vance.
Oh, so he wasn't
on the recording.
Saying to JD and Trump directly.
He was talking shit. He was talking shit, and someone recorded it and leaked it.
Ooh.
And there's this war going on behind the scenes, a Cold War, if you will, between Trump and Vance World, who are generally, I mean, Trump is unpredictable, but like generally trying to set up Vance for 28. Cruz is trying to run in 28 and is positioning himself as like a different kind of MAGA fighter or whatever. And then Josh Hawley also has been making moves. He's voted against the administration a handful of times, including on like the Medicaid stuff, partially at least. He voted against or for the War Powers resolution about Venezuela the first time and then backed down. Like, and so Hawley's also making moves for a 28 run. And so Republicans are very much
they're fighting.
They're fighting. The girls are fighting and are preparing to have a vicious primary in 28 is what it's lining up to be, just like honestly, we're going to have as well, which is the first time that's happened in a couple decades that both parties had a totally wide open primary.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot about how JD Vance has no real power, even more than most vice presidents. You know, kind of infamously, VPs don't have a ton of power in any administration, but that the person who does in fact hold the reins of the entire administration, potentially even more than Donald Trump himself, Stephen Miller.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have been saying, like, can we get Stephen Miller out as a result of the murder? But I think that it's far-fetched.
Far-fetched. Stephen Miller is, like, evil.
Agreed.
Katie Miller is.
A wreck.
A true wreck. She's pregnant, too, by the way. So Katie Miller's pregnant, Carolyn Levitt's pregnant, and Usha Vance is pregnant.
We're all multiplying.
Can't distract us. You can't distract us from the horrors that your administration is putting on American citizens, the fact that you are not creating a environment through legislation and Social Security and safety nets for actual families. You getting pregnant is not going to make us look the other way.
Send them off with a good vibe. Goodbye.
Well, this is like a vibe. It's not actually yet a full headline. It's a threat. It's a threat from Mikey Sherrill, your former boss.
Okay.
The governor of New Jersey.
Yeah.
She is threatening to withhold tax dollars to the feds. If the administration has overreaching powers in her state, she'll say, no, no, no.
I love it. She's not here to play. Let me tell you. I know that woman very well. We spent a lot of time together, and Mikey did not come to play.
I love to see it.
Prosecutor, helicopter pilot, graduated from the Naval Academy, 4 kids. She's not fucking around.
Good.
Let me tell you.
Good. So this is like a good vibe. It's not a headline yet, but I want to see more of this energy from Democrats in power and in leadership positions. Like, two can play that game.
Yep.
You need our taxpayer dollars.
Yep.
And you're not going to get it.
As I've said all year, make them tell you no. Assume that you have the power until someone tries to stop you. That is what Republicans have been doing for years, and it's what Democrats need to start embracing instead of this like, well, can we? Yes.
Just
do it.
Like Nike said, just do it.
Just do it. Okay, so we'll send you off with the good vibe from our favorite governor, my favorite governor, Mikey Sherrill.
Our neighbors just across the river.
And with that, we'll be back next week.
Sorry, I don't.
Me either. Yeah. Me either, girl.
Oh, God. I shouldn't be allowed to have electronics. Vibes Only is a production of Vibes Only the Podcast, LLC. Produced by us, Glennis Mahar and
Brian Derrick.
With audio producer Baze Hohen and digital producer Maddie Hart. We want to hear from you. Send us voice notes, drop a comment, and if you're vibing with the pod, share it with your friends. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next week.
See ya.